Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on planet Earth. My name is Jade, and this is How to App on iOS. And we're bringing the Friday show a day early because it's the end of 2020. And we got an awesome guest on, one of my favorite people in the world. So, let me scare you all. Are you ready? Hello, howdy do. I hope you're all doing very well. Hey, folks, if you're over on Facebook, I know it's really lonely over there and cold and chilly and you want to have some friends, jump over here to YouTube at youtube.com/JadeStarr and you can chill with all the cool people in the chat. And you can also go to howtoapp.ios.com if you want to follow the YouTube chat there and watch on the web browser. Let's get into it straight away today because we've got a really cool, awesome person, friend, talented musician, one of my favorite people in the world on the show to wrap up the year that has been, the thing that we shall not talk about until now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the chat, your friend and mine, Mr. Dan Baker. How are you, Dan?
I'm very well,
Doing
thank
good.
you. How are you?
We got there. We're rocking and rolling.
Absolutely. This is down to the fact that I'm from the countryside and therefore only learned to use a computer 6 months ago.
It's always the way, man. Every show it's like this. It's like panic. Everything's going to go wrong. But, you know, you calm down and relax and it all just happens.
Yeah, anyway, absolutely fine. Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway,
we're here. We're doing
cool.
it. It's nearly the end of the year. I'm sure you're happy about that. How do you... how's your 2020 been, Dan?
Yeah, it's been a bit weird. I mean,
just a bit.
Actually, it's been more creative than so many other years because I haven't been able to go anywhere or do anything, or we've had 3 holidays cancelled this year, and just doing the sort of tune every day that I did for those weeks at the beginning in the first lockdown. And I got to really just use the software, just keep working and keep writing, and I hope I'm a better musician than I was, really. So actually 2020's been all right. There we go. It was a bit weird to being all right.
Weird isn't necessarily bad all the time, is it? We were just talking about that. I mean, who wants everything to be normal? Normality sucks.
Not me. No.
What we'll do before we get into it, we'll say hello, because there's a lot of people here in the chat, and I need to do some roll calling, and hopefully you like the new setup here. You can see the chat on the screen now, in the middle for you. Yeah. So clearly Epic is here, Russ 8889, paying to get. Ed Zielinski, let's see, Ed B, Alex Bacchus, who else is down the list? Benedict Stewart Music, Mark is here as well. Let's see, I'm scrolling with my 4 eyes, trying to read. Nina's here as well. Cold Acre, one of our awesome mods, SM Borthwick. Nearly getting through it. Patrick Chandler, Tom Rochelle. Who else? Bubba is here. Pete Johns, Peter Johns is here. Danny Broderick, Andy Goldsby. Let's see. I'm getting near the end. You got to do all your shout outs. Synth Widow is here. Hello, my dear. Maury P. If I've missed you, Wall is here as well. Good to see you all. Deep Gravity, hi Cam, how are you? I hope you're all doing well. Lady Rhoda Line Straight, who I just mastered a song for this morning in about 10 minutes' time. I think I've got everyone there. Right at the end. I'm scanning. Gary Hubbs is here as well. Can't miss Gary. If I've missed you, I'll try and catch up. We're at the end, so all good. Let's get into it. How do you think the music's changed? How do you think the pandemic has changed the music industry?
Well, I've got lots of friends who are in the obviously into the sort of rock and pop stuff that I do most of the time. But I've also got some mates who are classical musicians who are in orchestras which have been properly hit. But they're all turning over to, they've all bought mics, they've all bought an audio interface, and they're doing online sessions. So, there's a cellist that does online stuff, there's a trumpeter that does online stuff. So I just send music over to them and they just play it, and it just arrives in my inbox. So I think in a lot of ways the pandemic could really serve as a giant reset button, and just to switch to a different way of working. And actually, at the beginning I found it a little bit disconcerting, because it's hard to produce when you are not in the room with that musician, and so it can waste a bit of time, and you're going backwards and forwards doing stuff. But I think we've all tried to really adapt to this whole thing. It's been okay. I know lots of musicians where it hasn't been okay, so I'm not gonna sort of boast too much, but because it's really hard. But I've had to do stuff that I wouldn't usually do, but I've ended up liking doing. So I do lots and lots of different things, and I'll keep on doing the things that I've grown to enjoy doing. So for me, it's been a revelation in some ways, and I'm just using and doing lots and lots of YouTubing.
Tell me about it.
And I'm starting to build up. I'm well done on your that milestone, because you've now got the subs to get sort of money and sort of and to have titles across videos and stuff. I found that to be a really helpful thing. It's really good fun. There's always something to talk about. There's never an end to music, and that's why I think as long as you don't get tied up in drugs and alcohol, and musicians tend to last a long time because there's no end to it. And that's the thing I like. I always like being at the bottom as well. Like I can play an octave and a bit on a flute, but I can't play it very well. But if I can get a few notes out of it, and it makes a difference to my recordings, then all the better. But yeah, for me, being at the bottom is really is a refreshing place to be, because it makes you realise how talented other people are. It makes you realise that there is more to life than just. There's so much in the music game. It can really generate some people who are just complacent and sort of not arrogant. I don't want to use that word because I think it's a bit strong, but where you have people that are quite happy just to sit and do their what they do without questioning it and without thinking, oh, what can I do next, kind of thing. So yeah, for me, it has been a lot of fun this year. I'm not going to lie, I've had a really good time doing it. And I just hope that I hope that other people have had that same.
You've
same
had a
thing,
couple of false
really.
starts there. Well, as you probably know, here in Melbourne, we were locked down for 6 months. It was probably the longest. We were the longest state or anywhere in the world who was locked down. And since November, we've had no cases, so everything's kind of good in that respect. You guys have you've had false starts. You got through it. Everything started to open up again. Yeah. I know you were super pumped. Started doing gigs because that's what you love to do. Yeah. And I could see on your Facebook, you're like, yeah man, gigging, and now that's starting to get like, is that being taken away from you? And how's that been for you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a few years' time, I'll be 50.
Same here.
And
it's exciting.
Yeah, right. And but that 4x10 bass cab that I've got is less appealing every time I look at it. And because I play the bass in a band called the Kingsmen, and we do lots of local sort of gigs and weddings and stuff. But it's a 4x10 bass cab. I'm only 5'6" tall. What's that? 1 meter? I don't know what it is in meters, and not very tall, basically. So I have to lift the bass amp up lift the cabinet and sort of do this, and then I have to flip the cabinet over because the handles, I'm not tall enough to carry it normally, so I have to flip it and then get it to my van up a flight of steps, and it's just, I just think, oh, yeah, okay. I don't do many guitar gigs anymore. It used to be the only thing I did was guitar and keyboards, but I ended up playing bass for a lot of the bands that I was doing. Before lockdown hit, I was playing in, I don't know, 12 or 15 bands or something. It was just stuff that was all sorts of different things. Gypsy jazz, playing the violin. That was a nice gig.
Easy.
You know, you're carrying a violin that weighs 800 grams, and at the end of the night, you just go, right,
float away.
See ya, bye. Yeah, float off into the sunset, and it was. But I don't mind the carrying of stuff. But it's sometimes when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and it takes me a couple of days to get over it now. I used to gig every night again, but I've had to slow down a bit, but I do miss it. And the things that I really miss, because I do these jam nights in the local town where I live, and that's what I really miss, because it makes, I don't know, it makes us all really happy. And I mean, I get a little bit of money for it, but I'm there at 7:30. I don't leave again until, I don't know, 12:30. If you do your hourly rate, it's way below minimum wage, but I just do it because it's, you have kids who come and play for the first time, and I just remember my first gig every time they come up and do something. And it is so fun. It's like watching kids open Christmas presents. That's what it's about for me. I like watching other people open their presents, and it's the same thing with music. I just like, kids and kids playing, and the kids bands, and they try out some Hendrix and some this, and it's just amazing to watch and listen to and be a part of.
I don't mind getting ripped off so much.
No. That's right, absolutely. Yeah, you can still send children up chimney. Oh, hang on, no, you can't anymore.
Can I sweep your chimney, Gov?
Can I ask? Are you a musician who would help the drummer carry their gear? Same here, man.
I always do it.
Always.
Yeah, I always do it. He who has the least helps the one who's got the most, because we all get the same money, and therefore it's only fair. I mean, I have a PA system sometimes. I don't charge for it. I just, as long as somebody helps me back to the van with it, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's a pair of 25-year-old PV Hysys 2s, which are amazing, and they still sound good, and a power amp to go with it. But it's level pegging. When you get to the gig and you help each other out setting up, we all have a round each. If we go to the bar, we'll buy 1 week, and then guitarist will buy another week, and it's always if it's equal, it's just lovely. It's Definitely. Really nice. There's no side.
I'll just say hello to some people I might have missed in the chat. Auntie G is here. Roxanne is here. I saw Kirsten here, who I missed. Seba says, is that how you say it? And I did miss, and I'm sure everybody's upset at me for this, but I wanted to make him special. Doctor's orders. We love Doctor's orders here. Doctor's orders is one of our stars in the chat. So I want to ask you. So we've covered like gigs and stuff like that. I want to ask your opinion on creating music with what you have instead of what you want to have, because I know your channel is really, you keep it very simple on your channel. I find. I've asked the question, but I just want to say, I find with all of the new apps that I show here all the time, I feel the need, why I wanted to have you on here, is to get people to realize, to go over and watch your channel as well, to reset themselves from all the overflow of apps, to go back to your channel where you keep it very simple and basic, and you need that as well. So what's your opinion on gear and gas and gear acquisition syndrome and apps and all that stuff?
Well, I mean, I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have quite a lot of stuff. I mean, I do a lot of work for a local producer who works with film producers, film musicians, that sort of thing. So I do have, like a Universal Audio interface, AKG C414, nice stuff to be able to see if they want. If they say, "Oh, we need 96 kilohertz, 24-bit," I can do that sort of thing. But it's what I really love doing is, and I do use Logic as well as GarageBand, but it's thinking about the front end. It's thinking about the room you're in. If I record violin, sometimes I find the room first before I press record, because the amplifier for a violin is the room it's in. It's like a harpsichord. That's even more important. If you're recording anyone playing a harpsichord, it's got to be in a massive, great English country house somewhere where the ceilings are 20 foot high. So if you get the recording right, and it's good playing, it's good musicianship and the right room and a nice instrument, the gear that you've got is really okay. It can make a bit of a difference, but I always think, well, I listen to Jimi Hendrix playing, like Are You Experienced or something, and the audio quality of that is really shocking. It's really bad, but it's Hendrix. And there are lots of people who say, "Oh, will this app make me sound well? I want to have this app." And you get the people on Facebook who are sort of brave enough to say, "Just learn to play the instrument first." And I know it sounds a bit condescending, and I play back, of course, into my own need to be better every time I play, because I realise that there's no end. There isn't a point at which you can just breeze into a studio and just fling a few notes onto somebody's record and they're going to go, "Hey mate." The better producers and the better musicians will say, "Could we have such and such?" That you are integrating into a situation rather than dominating it. So for gear, in terms of gear, I mean, I've all at the moment, and I've got lots of stuff, but I've never sold anything ever.
Are you a hoarder? Do you think you're a hoarder?
I think I probably am. Is this Hoarders Anonymous?
I think if you are, I think you'd make a fantastic episode of Hoarders.
Hi. My name's Dan, and I'm a hoarder.
But at least you could entertain while you're showing off your hoard.
Totally. Well, I have given a few bits of gear. There's a guy, a local sax player. He's 15, 16. I gave him a mixing desk that I had, an old Studio Master 24-channel desk that I got secondhand years ago, and I've got a little Fostex 8-channel hard disk recorder that I bought in 97 or something, and I gave those to him. The thing is with gear is that sort of age stuff is worth nothing. I've got a few older bits of kit that are starting to accrue a bit of money, but I mean, I've got this old Yamaha YC45D here, this old twin manual.
Look at that thing; looks beautiful.
It's it's a beast.
They don't build bitches like that anymore.
Oh man, 132 pounds it weighs, which is it's just under 60 kilos. So it's heavy, but it's great. I love it. And I've got all this stuff, and really, if I was to get rid of it, I'd just give it away to somebody. Because none of it's really worth any money. I don't know. It's sentimental value to me. I've got a Quadraverb, a Alesis Quadraverb, and I do use it sometimes. If I've got a snare drum that I want a proper 80s gated snare, I stick it through that rather than try and sort of download an app to do it. Yeah. And that way of working, that sort of organic way of working, and all the cabling that's in here. I think it's important to also be aware of signal flow, especially if you've only used software. If you're a kid at the moment, 16, 17, 18, you're getting into recording, you've got an iPad or a Mac or a PC or whatever running whatever music program. I think sometimes the recordings aren't so successful because the awareness of signal flow has gone.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing what line level is, knowing what unbalanced and balanced signals are, knowing what dB is. But yeah, I've also got bits of gear here that I actually somebody gave me a Drama compressor, dual compressor, really nice 80s compressor to fix, and he gave that to me in 2003, I think, and it's still sat up there, and I haven't done anything with it. So it's a bit of a junkyard, my place as well,
Nice.
But so it's I think using the old stuff, having a workflow. When I use Logic, for example, I use it as a multi-channel tape recorder. So I don't delve into all the functions of it. It's lovely and all that, and the effects are great and that. But sometimes I like mixing on faders. Just sitting there with your eyes shut, with a fader in hand, just to listen to what's going on. Too many pretty pictures, in my view, now on computers, really.
It is a bit like that.
I think it puts one off. But yeah.
I looked at my top apps yesterday on the show and was then I went back and watched I never watch my shows back, and yesterday I did for some reason, and noticed that I was talking a lot about the interface and the GUI and stuff, and it's like it does play a lot, and it made me think it seems to be a lot of modern apps and stuff do entice you with that as well, maybe subconsciously, or you start to get sucked into that. So, but it can be said the same for hardware as well. You can look at hardware and you can get a hard on for hardware as well. So it's a song title for you.
Yeah, totally. Well, I am working on an album this year.
Really awesome.
I've done sort of three or four tunes mostly, and I've just got to pull my finger out and do. And I'm at the age now where I just go, do you know what? I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm gonna record the music I want to record. It's just something that I started it last year, and then the pandemic kicked in. I started sort of thinking, how am I going to make some money? Blah, 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 blah. But the pretty pictures thing is a problem, and I have to. I'm in the habit of, when I make an edit, I just look down at the keyboard with my eyes shut.
Yeah.
I know some computers, like my old MacBook, you could actually switch the display off, or you could turn the brightness down so that you could. Essentially, the screen was still there if you look really carefully, but the whole thing was dark, and I really like that.
It's like faders down, so it's just closing your eyes. Yeah, because music is about hearing.
Yes, that's something that is. I've got the some of the Abbey Road plugins on Logic, some of the Waves plugins. And there's a really nice vinyl one, but the picture of the record going round, it just makes you go towards the screen and just thinking, oh, that looks amazing. And then your ears just go, oh, I've shut down.
Bubba says in the chat, it's a good way to save battery as well. So
yes, absolutely, yes. Yeah, the days of my laptop, my laptop does still run. 12 years old, 13 years old it is now, and the battery will still do 2 hours.
Yeah. A few more people have rolled in here. So Doug from the sound test room has popped in. Hello, Doug. Good to see you. Joey Helpish is here. Who else did I see? I saw someone else. Sion is here as well. So welcome along. If I have mixed, Thomas Gillane too. So can I ask? I want to get into this because it's an important thing, and I like keeping this kind of thing in the flow of the shows, because it is incredibly important. How have you handled your mental health through all of this, through this pandemic, and your well-being? What are some things that you've done to keep yourself sane, to keep creating and doing all that jazz? Well,
that's a really of the questions that you sent me on Messenger before before the show, that was the one that I latched onto the most, and sort of tried to figure out how to really answer that properly. Because I mean, mental health wise, I've never really had any problems. I've never had sort of periods where I'm really down or indeed really up. I mean, I'm a positive person anyway, but I realised that this tune a day that I did in the first lockdown, I think I would have been in a very different place now if I hadn't done that.
Yep.
That is, I would have been, I think, a little bit more despondent. But just the sort of thrill of it, and the fact that I was working all the time. I did 74 days in a row, tune a day. So I'd sit there in the morning and write out parts if I was doing strings or backing vocals or whatever, and then go in and record. Usually I tried to make it 2 hours maximum for recording, and then the LumaFusion production would be another hour after that, and just do a mix that was good enough. So I was working to a schedule, and it actually made me concentrate more than if I had more time to do it, bizarrely. But it has been tricky. There were really, I think, if I was to I think the beginning of 2019 for me was more tricky actually than the pandemic, because there just wasn't any work.
Right.
Simply wasn't any. But I was slightly comforted because I spoke to other people and they said this is really quiet for me too. Whether or not it was just something they just said to make me feel better, I don't know. But at the time, I was really struggling, thinking, I don't think about my age hugely, but I did think.
No, you've only mentioned it 3 times today.
That's right. Yeah. But I thought that. Is it 3 times? Oh, it's 4 times now.
4. Keep counting someone in the chat.
But it was kind of, I just thought, geez, there are kids out there who play me into a cocked hat, and I thought, is this it? Is this the end of my career? Thinking, but actually, since I did the tune a day during lockdown, quite a few people got in touch saying, can you do some recordings, some backing tracks for my tunes? And I started getting, I've done, I don't know, 6 or 7 sessions, and they're sessions with like 10 tunes in, and it's been really nice, and just made me a little bit of money. And I mean, the YouTube thing pays something, and it's not huge, but it's worth doing, and it's just stuff that's trickling in, and actually I prefer it to scouting around for bigger jobs. I think I've got 12 or whatever different things that I'm doing, and each one pays a bit of money, and I just think, it's just I think I found my sort of equilibrium a little bit with it. It is hard. I mean, I have to I have to pinch myself about really how lucky I am to have what I have and to be able to do what I do. And but I know it has affected some friends of mine. There's a guitarist mate of mine he's a fantastic player, really, really utterly fantastic player. He's one of these guys that if you say to him, oh, it's Django, it's a gypsy jazz gig, he'll turn up with the right guitar and play like Django Reinhardt. And then you say he's a Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, Yngwie Malmsteen. He's that sort of player. That's his first love. But he plays in a disco band. But it all completely fell to bits for him before the pandemic, and he lives on his own anyway. So I just think I know you should look out for your mental health and not think, oh, I'm better off than somebody else. But I think there is a lot in that sometimes. I don't know. I do feel lucky to have what I have, to do what I do. There's people who can't go to work because it's, maybe they work in a pub or, the local pubs. I mean, they're in trouble anyway in the UK. What that means for live music, I don't know, but it's all fairly scary stuff. But I think the reset button could come. I don't know how long the sort of conventional band has to last, really. The drums, bass, 2 guitars and vocals or keyboards or whatever. I've noticed a distinct sea change in people who are booking for weddings. Not that they're happening at the moment, but before the pandemic, it'd be, we want a duo, or we want solo piano, or we want a Ceilidh band, or we want X, Y, and Z. For me, I've just sort of had fun trying to challenge myself to come up with new ideas, new bands, new duos, new outfits, that sort of thing. I'd like to say that I'm too busy to sort of worry about things, but I know that's a simplistic view, a simplistic way of looking at it, because it's not like you can control mental health problems. It's really hard, and I've witnessed people who have gone through problems of their own. Another mate of mine, he's really vulnerable. Another guitarist, really good guitar player, but he is properly vulnerable. And I call him up. Most days we've done a few online sessions together, he's struggled, suicidal thoughts, that sort of thing. And it's like, crikey. So there's no doubt that it's a major player. But for me, luckily for me so far, I don't feel any negativity, don't feel anything like that.
I think I can speak for quite a few people too, that in saying this, that you are somebody who, I don't know how many messages you get like this, but I mean, anybody who has a YouTube channel or makes music gets these messages, that you are a big help to a lot of people who are going through this stuff. You're a really important part of their mental health and well-being. So I know, like last year when I was going through some really bad times, when I was homeless and stuff and thought everything was done, you were one of the people who kept me going, along with Pete Johns, Doug, who's here as well, because I was trying to create music on my iPad and living in a park, believe it or not. And I was still watching your videos on the park Wi-Fi.
Oh, man.
and watching you in your van talk about learning scales and stuff. And I actually learned a whole bunch of scales, something that a music teacher could never teach me in my youth. I learnt laying in a park under a blanket using the park Wi-Fi.
Oh man! Well, that's really made my day. That has, hearing that, because I mean, I have my uncle said to me that I'd really helped him, and some of his friends and stuff, and I have had those comments, but that's to hear from you about learning stuff off, like Dan in his van. But all it does is make me want to make more videos. It's because that's really touching. Well, that's really touching.
It's true. I think it's you have a very you're very unique and different to a lot of YouTubers. Very personable and very excited. There's a lot of people who are more concerned about the lighting in the background of their studio, and if they've got the right fluorescence and how their camera is, focused and everything, instead of being really genuine and enthusiastic. So that's one of the things I think I love about your channel. How has your channel, has it changed during this year? Has it changed at all?
In terms of the content that I'm making?
Yeah.
I suppose something that Pete said to me, actually. He said, "Don't be afraid to revisit old material."
That would be Pete.
yeah, and I suddenly thought, well, yeah,
Yeah.
why not? I mean, if I had, you know, years ago when I had, a few hundred subscribers or something, and I made a video about something, and now with my current level of subscription, I could make that same video again, and you know, I guess I'm quite lucky in that when I look at the analytics for my channel, something like only 8% of my views are from subscribers.
Oh
And I
wow.
went, really? So 92% have just found it through a search engine or something.
Mm.
So, I mean, I've got a friend. I mean, we were going to do this business where I go to a local, I don't know, local hall or local somewhere, a local public place where with my computer and to record people singing, give them like a recording experience thing. And we had all these packages worked out. And then, of course, that was in like February 2020. And then the pandemic struck. So we haven't managed to get started yet. But yeah, it's...
Because I can
yeah.
see too, I've got your website up here on the page, and
Oh,
you've spent a bit of time on your website lately since the last time we did an interview. It was a bit, old and outdated. The other one, and look at this, you've got portable studio, no problem. Bring your music to life with our portable studio. So
yeah, that was a mate of mine who did that. He did that for me for a very an incredible price, and
it's very sexy.
And a mate of mine, another mate, took some photos. His photos they appear regularly on my Facebook. Dave Burgess, his name, is a fantastic photographer, and he comes to the pub gigs, the jam nights, and he said, "Come up, and we'll do a session." Where I can just take a load of photos of you playing instruments, and he had the full bore, all this kit, it's fantastic. And I said, "Oh, can I give it?" Oh, no. So I just had to go to his wife and say, "Right, what's the best whiskey what's he really like?" It's one of those sort of things. But the website. I'm really pleased with it, and it's the old one I did myself using iWeb or whatever it was called, the old Mac thing, and I got a bit overexcited and had about 500 pages of my website, whereas this is like 7 pages, and you just scroll down.
It's beautiful.
I was really pleased with it, and I have had inquiries from people, with regard to the recording thing, but also people wanting me to do sessions for them, so even during the pandemic, when obviously things like live musical services are just non-existent, it's still generated something. So I just look forward to the future, really, just getting out there and getting back to some sort of I want to say normality, but actually, I'm quite excited that the future will be a bit different.
What do you think? What do you think? Let's put our minds into the future and let's have a guess. What do you think is going to happen over the next couple of years with the music industry? Where do you think it's going to go?
Well, I heard on the news this morning that vinyl records are at their highest.
They are.
Highest number of sales since something like 1992.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember still buying a few records, even when CDs were out, just cheaper. And actually, I prefer looking at a 12-inch bit of card than having to try and peel an inlay card out of the CD. Especially now with my eyes, because of my age. Having a 12-inch vinyl is obviously it's easier to read, and you can now buy a couple of €1,000. You can buy yourself a record cutter, record lathe, which will cut 10-inch discs, and that's really exciting. I mean, the big record labels. I mean, they've always, well, in the last few years, they've really been struggling. I used to work for EMI in Townhouse Studio in London back in the 90s. And even then, I mean, I was lucky enough to see all this, 72 input SSL desk, two 24-track tape machines linked together with a synchronizer and all of this, and mixing to half-inch tape and all of that. And I was so lucky to catch the tail end of that, but it really was the tail end. All the big studios in London have gone, apart from Abbey Road, maybe Metropolis, couple of other places. But I remember the big sell-off where they couldn't give the sofa away, in the studio. I mean, there is some fantastic music about. Well, there always has been, but it's now in the hands of many more people, which I think is where it should be. And there are lots of smaller labels who are putting out, maybe 5,000 units or even 1,000 records, and I think it's just more exciting. Whether there's the same money to be made as the sort of Elton Johns, the Stings, the Ed Sheerans, the I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know. I think it may be becoming more realistic, especially with the fact that because physical media is so far down the list of things that people buy, you're more likely to just pay your subscription to Apple Music and then just click on something. And while that's convenient, I think it detaches people from the music, and therefore live music, I think, could really make a proper resurgence. Because people want a connection where they wouldn't have one if it's just a click on a, just tap on your iPad or whatever to hear a tune. Not only that, people are happy with listening to music on just an iPad or putting the phone on the kitchen worktop while they're cooking, playing music off a phone. And it's almost as if we've done this with the hi-fi, and then it's kind of done that.
Well, that makes me lead to this, because you mentioned vinyl. I'm all for vinyl. I think vinyl's fantastic. I think there's room for vinyl and CDs. But there's also been a whole lot of apps coming out replicating tape, and there's a lot of stores now starting to sell cassettes again.
Yeah. I heard that on the news as well.
What is going on, man? Are we heading down a slippery slope to poor quality?
I don't know. I mean, the thing about cassette, it's the only one of these media where you have to actually. It's a pain to skip tracks.
Yeah.
So a cassette tape, I quite like the idea of that, because it means that people will listen to the entire record.
Yeah, that's
the entire album.
But the bad thing, I think, is that you have no control over when the tape player chews that tape up.
Yeah,
where a record, you scratch it, it's your fault. How many times where you've gone, what the hell, and you pulled that tape out, and it's like, damn.
Yeah.
With a CD, it's on you if you drop it, scratch it, or an album if you scratch it. Where a cassette, how many car cassette players have we had when we were younger? And somebody's now released that effect as an app, and people are buying it on the App Store.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Audio Thing is a great company that specialises. I've just downloaded the Soviet wire recorder app, and it's fantastic. It makes a Fender Rose just sound disgusting. It's amazing. It makes it sound just deeply unpleasant, which is fantastic. But I mean, the thing I like about cassette is that it is still possible to buy a machine that has a cassette player in it, and that was, and they came out in 1963. Philips bringing those out, and they are still quite robust things. I mean, quality-wise, it's nothing like a record or a CD, but I think the sort of nostalgia side of things is driving that more so than vinyl. I think vinyl is not necessarily nostalgia. It's the connection with the music and the fact that you can see the mechanism working.
Yeah.
And and of course the size of the the sleeve makes you able to read stuff, and you can get massive, great booklets in the middle of a double 12 or whatever. If getting any of these sort of African compilations, I've got quite a few of those, so Afrobeat stuff, where you can read up about them, and it's stuff that you can't find online so easily unless you really look for it. And you've got this sort of color brochure, and you have to sit down, listen to the record, put the thing on, and you get the CD vinyl sort of war where people saying the vinyl sounds better. Well, it sounds great on the outside, I've always been fascinated by the album, by the order in which people put their tunes on the album, and on the inside of side 1 and side 2 you always get something that's a bit quieter, or a ballad or something which isn't affected too much by the sort of lower quality when you get to the middle. But it's technology defining music, I think, is a really important thing. The idea that a pop song is 3.5 minutes long. I mean, that's a 45 RPM record.
Yeah.
I don't think it's got anything to do with people's concentration so much. I think it's just grown with the technology, and I like the fact that the technology has done that. Has actually sort of defined these sort of bendable rules. Whereas the whole digital thing, I mean, you can record a 15-minute long tune if you want, and it, because there's no physical media there. I don't know. It's an interesting one.
Well, I've been recording an album for 7 years. I'm wrapping it up early this year.
Oh.
And it's like, it started out in 2012 as I'm gonna record a song on an album on an iPad. And that was back when you had to jailbreak to be able to transfer files, and I've had to slowly develop the album as iOS has grown with it. But the whole idea from the beginning was this is going to be released as a double vinyl album before anything else, and it's 22 songs. So it's a complete story, and it's ready to go. I've started looking at record players, so I can decide on who I'm going to go with to get this created, get the vinyl made, what colors I'm going to have. It's been really exciting the last month, starting to look at this stuff instead of going to some CD replication place and submitting they're really like, submit this template of TIFF files and all this shit. It's really quite stale. And the whole idea of releasing vinyl has been super exciting. Because I've got a little publishing thing, a publishing deal for it to come out, which we'll talk about at a later stage next year with everyone. But they're like, so you just want to release it on vinyl? I'm like, yeah. What about CD? Not so much. Don't really care.
No.
I think it will add to the whole excitement of the done on iOS and only on vinyl, and it makes it special, so kind of thing. Plus, you can get it on Apple and all that typical stuff. And what do you think of the future of iOS and the way Apple's direction is going with devices and stuff? Where do you see that going? Do you think they're still catering to us musicians, or they're heading down a dark path?
I'm always gobsmacked by what you can do with GarageBand. And I've made a few videos this year about comparing GarageBand to Logic. It's sort of bigger brother.
They look the same.
Yeah, they do. They do. There are some people who say, GarageBand is looking more like Logic, and there are people that say that Logic is looking more like GarageBand. I'm sure it won't be too long before you can get Logic on an iPad Pro.
Yeah, it's coming.
It must be coming. I'm on an iMac, which is, it's fine, it's good and all that. But it would be nice to be able to have that portability. Things like, multi-input audio interfaces being able to be used by GarageBand. I obviously, with things like the Thunderbolt connection for things like my Universal Audio interface, I know that's essentially too fast or it's too complicated for an iPad at the moment. But who knows? It's whether the editing, it's whether the editing capabilities will be good enough on an iPad to be able to do everything that you need to do.
And if Apple will decide to give us enough RAM, that's what it is. Yeah. You know what they're like? They just go, here's a little bit. Here's a little bit. Here's a little bit. Here's a little bit. It's like, just give us a lot. Just give us a lot, for God's sake.
Yeah. It's I've got I think my computer, I don't know about this Mac. I don't know what I've got in there. 16, I think. 16 gigabyte of RAM. Yeah, I mean that's sort of getting to be. I mean, I know people with 128 gig of RAM in their computers, and if I really add enough tracks, it will slow down a bit. But partly with that, I do a lot of live strings and live backing vocals. That's really the only time that I use lots and lots of tracks. I mean, guitar-wise, if it depends what it is, I might have 3-4 electric guitar parts, 2 acoustic guitar parts, maybe. But it's still, fits within 16 tracks. Whereas, violins and stuff, I always treble take. I do 3 takes of each. With 3 different microphones for each part as well, so you don't get any phasing problems, or rather reducing phasing problems. I move between the mics so that the room's slightly different for each violin part, that sort of thing. But it's, if you add enough stuff, you get to the point where the computers get struggling a bit, and then you sort of start thinking, well, is it me? Have I added too much?
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah. But sometimes I end up deleting parts, thinking, what's that part? Why have I put that part in? And just get rid of it.
Oh, I've been signed out of Skype. What's that all about? That's interesting. That was fun. For some reason, Skype has. Am I still on the air? I've been logged out. Wow, Skype is horrible. What is my password? I'm still online. That is bizarre. Let me see if I can get him back online. I think he's trying to call on my phone, but I'm logged out on my computer. Wow. Hang on a minute. Just give me a sec. I've got to remember my password. That was odd. He's trying to call me on my phone. Let's see if I can get him back on here. Hang on. I'll have to reject him. Yeah. Here he is. He's frozen in time. Let me just cancel him on my phone, because I think... How do I do it? Oh man, this is why you don't have Skype on all your devices, because he's trying to call on my phone. There we go. Now I'm logged back in. So let's see if I can call him on here now. That was exciting. See, this is live streaming, folks. Here we go. Howdy do. I got logged out of Skype for some. You know what's weird? I updated Skype just before the show. There was an update. And I was thinking, don't update before the show, and I updated it, and it logged me. It just logged me out for no reason. So sorry about that. But hey,
that's right.
Mistakes happen, and we're still here.
Right. Excellent. Yes, the update thing is a tricky one. It's something I try to avoid if I can.
That's what Pete said before the show today. I was saying, we were having trouble getting you on Skype. And he was like, that would be Dan. Dan doesn't update anything. Awesome.
That's right. Actually, it was me. There wasn't enough steam pressure in the in the boiler. So yeah, my 3 kilobytes of RAM just it sort of it's stressed out the processor a bit. Anyway, yeah.
So know what we're going to do? I'm going to break up things because we've got a competition for some apps to give away. So I want to break up, then ask you a few questions, and then I was going to ask if you would, I don't know, to take us out for New Year's. I know you're a legend, and I know you thrive on this kind of stuff. Well, I hope you do anyway. I was wondering if you'd just play us some music. Would you be up for that?
I wonder. I've got my guitar. I haven't got my piano. I've got guitar.
Well, it's all good. Well, I'll run this competition, right? So let me just bring this up here because I know there's some people who are here to see if they won an app. Let me bring this up on the screen. And here we are. All right, folks, we've got some music in the background while I run this competition. So, folks, we're going to give away some apps. Let's do this right now. So we had about 25 people in here, and we're going to just go hit the generate button, and we're going to give away these 4 apps, which were for Synthscaper. So number 14 is Paying to Get, who's here right now. So well done. You've won one. Let's generate again. Let's do this. We got 24, which is Krish Lee. So that's you. We'll generate. I'm just getting these done out the way nice and fast because they're not the... Russ, dude, so you get one as well. I know you specifically asked for one, a specific one. And I'll sort you guys out. And the last one, number 6. So, Hamish Rose. So I'll message you guys in the video once this is done. But we'll get that out of the way now and scoot back here.
Did that come through all right?
Thank you so much, man.
I wasn't sure if it compresses or compresses or takes all the...
Even if the sound is caca because, you know, we had to restart, it doesn't matter, man. It all came through beautifully. The feeling was there, and that's what I knew would do, because that's what I love about you, and I think that's what a lot of people love about what you do. It always shines through beautifully. Can I ask, how do you maintain your spark as a creator? Because that's the thing, and everybody in the chat is going wild, of course, because that is the thing that continues to draw me back to your videos. Not only do I learn stuff, but every time I watch your videos, you pop, and I feel better for it. I feel brighter. And, you know, I feel like if I jump out the window, I'll float away.
Well, I think I like I like being an idiot. I like the sort of the sort of Absolutely, yes. Medication time, gentlemen. Medication time. Yeah. I just like the just. Well, I always think that music, the verb to play music. I mean, it's like playing anything else, playing football, playing sport. It's always something that's enjoyed by the person who's actually doing it.
Yeah.
And things like that. I mean, it's like during this pandemic, football matches being played to empty stadiums. I mean, there's no point doing it because you might enjoy, playing it, but it is only when you're playing something, it has to have a crowd with it. It has to have an audience. And I always think about that when I play. If I do a gig somewhere, I mean, they should always say, well, you should play for yourself. You should enjoy what you play. But it's nothing without the people who are sometimes paying to get in, or especially sort of inspire somebody else. Maybe you got the young kids in the pub with the band who are going to come up and play a couple of tunes. I always feel that I've got to go the extra mile to make that work. So yeah, I try to be sort of silly to a point, without making people think, oh God, it's him. Oh, well, should we just go home? But no, there's always something. I like the making of the instruments. I busked with my shovel and my barrow. I went with a mate and we went and busked in the local town, and I took my wheelbarrow and my wheelbarrow amp, and we just played guitar and bass, and it was hilarious. It was so fun, sort of stopping and quizzically looking at my bass and my barrow, and then sort of laughing before putting a pound in the guitar case and just walking on. And yeah, it's I just think with anything musical, if you do something that somebody will remember, I get a bit of my character with this from my chemistry teacher at school, who was the best teacher I ever had. And he used to set fire to he used to create chlorine gas, in the fume cupboard. This is the days before health and safety, and then, flames shoot across the desk and stuff, which he'd engineered. And we all go, laughing our heads off. And then we all achieved, the top grade in our exam for chemistry. And it's just like, oh man, I want, this is what I want to do. Yeah, he gave me a lot of inspiration, actually, my chemistry teacher, to try and create a sort of an experience that's fun, and and something comes out of it as well. Still, yeah, it's
What I'm going to do, Dad, so your image is freezing up a little bit here. So we've got a bad connection at the moment. So
okay.
So what I'm going to do is try and call you back. I'm just going to hang up. We'll give you a quick call back. We'll see if we can do that, and then we'll wrap up. So
okay,
just give me a sec. All right.
No worries.
Let's try again, folks, and cancel that. We'll give it one more go. Come on, let's do it. We can do this.
Right.
All right, here we go. Let's see if we're back. Good old. I love. I love OBS when it. You know what it does? It says, you know what? I'm going to resize the. There we go. Put it back. That's so good. Oh. So you're moving again. Yay! Awesome. Awesome.
Cool.
What this I didn't want to go too long today. I know Joey's got a show going on. I want to thank you for coming on the show. I want anybody who isn't aware of Dan, who is aware of Dan, to head over to his beautiful website, which is so sexy. I want you to head over, and if you're not subscribed to his YouTube page, do so, because there's so much to learn over there. I want to thank you for coming on, and I want to thank you too for being, was it the second person on this show 6 months ago?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So,
11th of June, I think it was, because I saw on the list, on the Skype list.
Yeah. So it was the second week. So thank you for that, because it was one of the reasons we've been doing these rants with Pete, and I just thought having a rant with you would be just as enlightening. You're two of my favorite people who just brighten my day all the time, and I know many others. So what I want to know is, what have you got? So we know you mentioned you're going to do an album, hopefully, so that's cool.
Yeah.
What have you got planned for the year ahead? And I know that's a hard question, because who knows what's coming. But what are you hoping to achieve?
Well, I'd like this album, to do this album. And I'd also like to do a record with all the people that come to the pub, all the people that come and play at the pub, whether it's a cover or their own stuff. I want to produce something that's just people in the town coming and playing. I want to do that. I'd like to. I played on a film. I played on Blithe Spirit, which is the new Judi Dench movie, which was meant to be out in May, but of course because of the pandemic it wasn't, and it's been delayed further. But I'd like to get more work like that, more session work where I can, there's some sort of presence that I mean, it's all very well me, making videos about my shovel, but I want to get out more and do more things, but to do more things involving studio work, creative stuff, rather than maybe gig. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I'm playing violin on that tune, on that film.
Man. I love how you just glossed over that. Oh yeah, I played on a film that's got Judi Dench in it, and like blah blah blah. I'm like, what? I'm quickly typing.
It's on the soundtrack. There's a few tunes that I've played. It's all sort of 1930s sort of jazzy sort of singer stuff, and I got I just got the gig through a friend of mine. In fact, it was two local studios which were given some, because they just farm the jobs out to various studios, two of which are within half an hour of my house, in the middle of the countryside. So I just pitched up with my violin and just got the brief, and they were really happy with it, and I thought, well, great. So I'd like to do more stuff like that as well.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Congratulations, that is so awesome.
Oh, well, thank you.
So well deserved.
Oh, thank you. Well, I don't know if 15th of January 2021 is going to be. I don't know. We've all gone in the news in Britain. We've all gone into like proper heavy lockdown tiers. Yeah. So we're in tier 3 of 4. So you can still go to the shops and stuff if you really must. But it's kind of, I don't think the pubs are going to take another battering like they have done. We'll see. But I mean, it's getting through with that sort of just finding things to do.
So is this movie going to have a soundtrack released as well?
Hopefully, if it does, that would be nice, because then I'll see a taste of that.
Yeah, pretty penny.
I mean, it depends. If it's because it's 30s, it might end up on vinyl. I mean, that would be amazing.
Yeah, damn straight.
But it's I don't know. But yeah, it's the sort of thing. I did the work in November 2019, I think. I did the recording then, and then just forgot about it, really. Just think, great, it might be on the film. And then somebody says, it's going to be in the film, yay! And then when the film didn't come out, I just kind of forgot about it. Just kept it in the back of my mind maybe, but it'd just be nice when it happens, and it would be a nice sort of trip down memory lane, really. I think because I did a lot of we did a lot of touring of Japan with a band called the Baker Brothers, and we made some 7-inch singles back at the beginning, 2004 or 5, that sort of thing, and did a couple of albums, two of which were on vinyl, I'd just sit myself down and put an album on that we did 15 years ago plus, and it is a nice trip down memory lane. And I always try not to regret not doing anything. Like, for example, I left the band about 10 years ago. Young family and that sort of thing. It just wasn't really compatible with just disappearing on tour. And it was kind of the right time, really, because then we made a bit of money out of it, a little bit of money. I mean, it's, I see occasional royalty checks still from the Japanese for sales there. But, I think the thing is, if you change direction, it's always for a reason, always for positive reasons. Something always comes out of something that, it's like one door closes, 2 open, or 3 open, and I've always found that, and I kind of hope it continues.
Yeah.
I mean, the YouTube thing is great fun, and I love doing it, and I'll keep on doing that because it's always something. It's always something to talk about, and lots of the time, it's questions on some of my videos that just sort of invoke more content, and it's just nice to do it, and it's a lot of fun, really. Everything's fun. I think when you tire of music, or with the gigs, obviously it's more of a physical thing, lifting a bass amplifier, but when you tire of doing anything like music, that's a real shame, because for me, it's the only thing I've ever wanted to do, and the only thing that I shall ever do. So I just hope I don't get bored of it, because that would be a bit of a shame.
Everything's fun until it's not.
Yeah, and keeping it fun. It's there are times where I'll get up one morning and think, and just sit and read, or play Candy Crush.
You heard it here, folks. Dan Baker loves Candy Crush.
I love Candy Crush. I mean, it's for kids. I mean, I sometimes I sit there on Snapchat and just purse my lips at camera and stuff.
Dan Baker's a duck face as well. The whole truth is coming out right now.
But some days I don't do anything, and I don't feel guilty about it, because then the next day I've sort of made up for it. And it's important to have breaks. It's important to have those sort of, that bit of downtime, because I'm lucky that my job is also my hobby.
Yeah. But
I realise that could come at a price. Don't know. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I'm gonna. So a few more people have popped in here. Just want to say hello. Thanks for coming over from Hippie's room. So Hetriani's here, the padded pedal room. I think was there someone else who I may have missed? Who's I try to keep up with the chat as much as I can. I got to give Hetriani a yeah. So I'm going to impose on you one more time, because it is the end of the year, and we're probably not going to chat until next year. And I know you're a showman. Would you play us out with something else? Would you, off the top of your head, because we've got better sound now and better picture this time around. I'm glad I called you back.
Right. What are we doing then? Now I'm on the spot.
Now you're under the pump, aren't you, Dan Baker?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've got my daughter's beginner's book of carols.
Yes!
For Christmas.
Yes! Let's do this shit.
Let's do this. Right. It's all got this funny sort of dots and music. That's fine.
Awesome. Take your time. You're under no pressure, Where you are a bit.
Totally. looking for this one. I do gypsy jazz covers of things. God rest you, merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. For Jesus Christ, our Savior, was born upon this day to save us all from Satan's power when things were gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. And the merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. For Jesus Christ, our Savior, was born upon this day to save us all from Satan's power when we've gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and Yay! I'll tell you what, the bass end on your microphone's brilliant. I'm listening on studio monitors and it just went out of the speakers. Absolutely brilliant.
Well, last time you were on, you got to show off your shovel guitar. So I wanted to wrap up today by showing you what I made. So I made this.
Oh, nice.
Tribal drum out of pure... So we had to actually go hunt the deer as well and actually kill it. Nice. It was quite disturbing, actually. We had to hunt the deer. Then we had people there who skinned the deer, and then we had to cure it, and then we had to make this drum. And it's...
So you twist all the things to get them to...
Yeah. So... That's all.
That sounds amazing. That sounds so good.
It's all hand twisted. Like I had cuts all over my hands. It was a whole weekend we did, and like even this was made, just with a stick and just some fluff. So
I think if you make an instrument, if you're making an instrument, you have to suffer in a bit.
You do.
In order that it that it sort of works. I got a metal shard under my. Just under the cuticle of one of my fingers when I was doing the shovel, and it proper swelled up, and I went, oh no, how am I going to explain this when I get to the hospital? It's like this. I was drilling through a shovel. Oh, we got a comedian, have we, sir? Oh, right, yeah, if you'd like to step into this.
We've got a comedian in the chat too. Russ has said, was it expensive? No, it was dear.
Yay!
But on you. I don't know. I don't have a drum kit connected.
Fantastic, excellent. Oh,
well, thank you very much, Dan, for coming on today.
Well, pleasure, and thanks for having me. And after the last interview, I felt loads better about music having chatted to you, and just the lift of all the questions you ask and the flexibility, and you allow me to talk the hind legs off Desert Orchid.
We just make it up on the spot as we go here, man. You're lucky you got me to send you bullet points. I never send them to anyone. It's just in the deep end.
Excellent. Well, I was thanks for that, and well, I hope 2021. It's all going to get better.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Get better.
It's going to be good.
It's we'll come out the other side, and I think it's all. There's so many positives to come out of this, which quite possibly wouldn't have been there. In under different circumstances. I don't know. Maybe that's. I don't know. I think there are good times ahead. Really.
Yeah.
We've got Trump out for a start. So.
I've been so good. I haven't said anything about that lately because I know it upsets some people. But Fuck yeah. Happy days are ahead. All right, so folks, if you want to join me tomorrow, congratulations to the winners of the apps too. Tomorrow I'm doing a show which is tentatively called FU 2020. So I'm going to be doing a live show tomorrow, playing some music for about an hour to ring out New Year's for everybody in the rest of the world. It'll already be New Year's Day for us. But if you want to join me tomorrow, it'll be a big FU to 2020. You play a bunch of songs. It should be fun. And I can. It's coming. It's coming. I can hear it. It's the music. When I hear the music, it means the show's over. Oh, you can do it if you want. You can play us out if you want.
Should all coronavirus be forgot and Trump is going to jail? There's an album there. There must be about coronavirus. And he who shall not be mentioned, to Mr. T. Rump.
Goodbye, Mr. Trump.
Absolutely, yes.
Well, everybody have a great day. Thank you, Dan. Go over and sub to Dan. Sub to me if you haven't.
And sub to Jade as well.
Yeah. And we'll see you tomorrow. And I'll see you in the new year, Dan. So have a great new year. All the best to you and your family.
Thank you very much.
Lots of
Happy
love.
New Year, everybody.
Woohoo!